What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. Top 5 running back sleepers for the 2019 fantasy football season. You guys crushed it on the Wednesday video. Got up to 300 likes quickly. How about 400 for this one? Can we get 400 likes on this top 5 list? That would be epic. So, to start this video, we're going to start like we normally do with the stat of the day. And you guys got yesterday's stat of the day really quickly. Answer was Michael Thomas, so let's see if we can do the same today and get this one quickly. Today's stat is inspired by the wonderful comment section of yesterday's video. Over the last 30 years, there have been just 2 wide receivers with 10 or more receiving touchdowns on 43 or less receptions. Name one of them. 30 years, just 2 wide receivers have 10 or more receiving touchdowns on 43 or fewer receptions. These are players that will 100% see regression in the following season. So, for the running back sleepers, my one rule is that as of recording the video, they need to be going in the 10th round or later. Otherwise, can't be on this list. So these are all guys that are going 10th round or later and that I have ranked higher than ECR and ADP, at least when I release the next set of rankings. Another rule that I kind of added in for myself is these guys all need to have a chance to be league winners. I'm not saying it's likely because, 10th round and later, we're not saying any pick is likely to be a league winner. But all of these guys at least have a path to doing so. You guys can be the judges of how likely that path is. I'll make the case for all of these players. But there has to be some way that these guys can win your league. If you want to see more players that I have ranked higher and projected higher than the public, make sure to become a premium member of our website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. Link in the description box down below. Premium membership is absolutely worth it. I can guarantee you that it'll be worth the cheapest cost in the industry. So, let's take a look at the top 5. And actually, before we do that, 2 names I wanted to mention because they're not in the list, but I do want to bring them up, is Justice Hill and Alexander Madison. I already included them in a different video, so I didn't want to keep doing the exact same players. But had I not used them before, they would have been on this list. I just didn't want to bring up the same names every time. So let's start it off with the guy that I'm probably least confident in on this list, or at least I think that their path to being a league winner, or his path to being a league winner, is the lowest among all of the players, is Devin Singletary. And Singletary ran for over 4,000 yards in his 3 seasons at Florida Atlantic with 6 yards per carry and 66 touchdowns. That's a lot. That's really good production. The concern with him, twofold. 2 concerns with him. One is that there are 4 potential lead backs on that depth chart, of course including him, Frank Gore, Yeldon, and LaShawn McCoy. So there's a lot of backs that you look at and you're like, I recognize you. There has been a time where you have been the lead back for your team. All those guys could be a lead back. They're not all as likely as each other to be the lead back, but they all could be. And if anyone tells you they know what's going on in that backfield, they know exactly, this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, they're lying to you because we don't know. So we want to try and take advantage of, okay, we don't know who's going to be the lead back. Who's a guy who could be that's going cheap in drafts, and for me that's Devin Singletary. The second concern is that his athletic profile and with it his receiving ability is a little sketchy. So he's got a subpar athletic profile. Let's be honest, he's not the greatest athlete in the world, and his receptions went from 26 to 19 to 6 in his 3 years at college. But with all that being said, you're like, okay, you've not made a single case to this guy. With all that being said, he was taken in the 3rd round. So Buffalo did spend a pretty high pick for running back on him. This offense is on the rise. They are an ascending offense. And both McCoy and Gore are well past their prime. They are not even remotely close to their prime. So there's absolutely a chance that he can lead this backfield down the stretch. Will he do it right away? I say it's extremely unlikely that he just opens the gate as the lead back or with a big role. So don't expect points to start the season. But is he worth a 10th or 11th round pick if down the line, when the games actually start to matter in the fantasy playoffs, could he be the lead back? Yes. So I do think he is worth his draft capital right now. And I think that there's absolutely a chance where you can get him even later than his ADP is. Because that's his ADP right now. But there's absolutely a chance that you're in your hometown league and no one's heard of Devin Singletary. And so he slips into like the 12th and 13th round. So I like him as a pick. Another guy I like that I've brought up a few times, I believe, in Mock Draft Mondays is D'Onta Foreman. And D'Onta Foreman tore his Achilles in week 10 of his rookie season. And we all know to avoid players returning from this injury. ACL and Achilles. We don't touch them when they're returning from that. At least, he tore it in week 10. You don't touch him the next season because that's a little bit too late in the year. If it's preseason, it's a different story. But Foreman's now 2 seasons removed. So basically, what did he play? Like the 1 game last season. He returned for 1 game, played a little bit. We knew he wasn't going to play much last season. Now 2 seasons removed from the injury. And I expect him to at least be close. Maybe he's not 100%. Maybe he's like 98%. But he's very close to 100%. And this was a guy who was challenging Lamar Miller right out of the gates as a rookie. He had double-digit carries in 5 of his 10 games as a rookie. Not only do I think that he could take over as the lead back at some point in the season, I think it's likely. So I think it is likely that even without an injury to Lamar Miller, he can take over as the lead back, as the guy getting the majority of the carries. They added absolutely no competition this offense. So to me, that says they feel confident in DAndre Foreman being healthy and being able to be that guy right behind as like the 1B with the potential to be the 1A in that offense. And the fact that he's available in the 11th round is a complete joke. He should be going in the 9th round consistently in drafts, and he's just not. So that's another guy I really love. And Ito Smith, I'm going to say I really love basically all of these picks, but Ito Smith's a guy I think he and Foreman are probably, Foreman, and the guy I'm going to talk about 5th are probably the 3 where their ADPs are just preposterous. Like they're probably going to go up, I would think, but they haven't so far. So Ito Smith, I'm just going to start off by listing the injuries that Devonta Freeman has suffered since 2015. A few years ago, 2015. Pulled hamstring, a hip strain, 3 separate concussions, an MCL sprain, a PCL sprain, a knee contusion, a foot bruise, and then his season ended last year in week 5 with sports hernia surgery. Okay, that wasn't his injury history over the past 15 years. That was the past few seasons. Does that sound like a player who's going to stay healthy? Like with Coleman gone to San Fran, Ito is the clear number 2. It's not even close. Ito is the number 2. And as a rookie, he managed 27 receptions, which is pretty solid as a rookie. The yards per carry were lacking, but he was good in the receiving game, and he's absolutely going to see more volume this season, even if he stays healthy. So let's say Freeman stays healthy for the entire season. Ito will push for double-digit touches per game in that scenario. And now if Freeman goes down, Ito proved that he has 3-down upside. He can stay on the field in early downs and as the pass catcher. That's a lot of upside for a guy going in the 10th round right now. That's probably 2 to 3 rounds past where he should be. And say 10th round ADP, I was able to get him in the 11th round of a 14-team draft the other night. And this was with some industry experts. This was not just like a random fantasy pros against the computer or like ESPN or the ADPs are awful until August. This was with people who were actually trying. Got him in the 11th round of a 14-team league. So even though you see that 10th round ADP, he's going later in a lot of drafts, and I could not be happier about that ADP. 4th guy on the list is Malcolm Brown. And you probably just scratch your head. You're like, wait a minute. You told me that Darryl Henderson was the backup, and he is. I'm not disputing that. Darryl Henderson is the guy you want behind Gurley. Here's the problem with Darryl Henderson. No one has found anything bad with him, and that is dangerous for fantasy football. When we have backups that no one finds anything bad with, or even players in general, but when there's a guy no one finds anything bad with, every person in the industry is hyping them up, and their ADP has already risen to the 6th round in early June, that's a problem. Because I would not be shocked if he sneaks into like the early 5th round, the late 4th round, and now we're just getting absurd. I love Henderson as much as next guy, but he is not an every down back. He is the perfect complement to Gurley. How they want to run that offense is have Gurley as the lead back to be in on some 3rd downs, but to have Henderson take a lot of the 3rd downs and have Henderson kind of sneak in for a few early down works. They don't want Darryl Henderson to be the pure backup. They don't want it to be, if this is a real problem with Gurley and he's out, then we just give Henderson Gurley's work. That's not how this backfield is designed. They matched the offer on Malcolm Brown and brought him back because they believe he can be an early down guy. So let's envision this scenario where Gurley stays healthy all year, and it's exactly how the Rams want this offense to go. Malcolm Brown will be droppable by, the first round of waivers. If we see week 1 and that's how their offense is running, you're not going to see Malcolm Brown out there very much. And if there's a hot waiver wire pickup, you can drop him and Malcolm Brown will become a free agent. But let's say it's the scenario where there is something wrong with Gurley, and they can't give him nearly as much workload as they wanted to. That's when Malcolm Brown is going to be sneaking in on the early downs. So you're going to see Malcolm Brown with a few carries per game, maybe a few receptions per game, and they're going to bring Darryl Henderson in for kind of that same workload. So all I'm saying is Malcolm Brown is going in the late 13th round, and Darryl Henderson's going potentially soon into the 5th round. And if you're someone who believes Gurley's knee's a problem, which one of those is a better deal? Because you still have starting players in the 5th round. And you're drafting a backup who, even if something happens to the starter, doesn't become the starter. His role will likely stay pretty similarly to what it was. In an amazing offense. I'm not saying that Henderson's a bad pick. I'm just saying you should probably be considering Malcolm Brown, since he is the guy that would be getting a lot of the early down work. So that's my spiel on Malcolm Brown. He's just going too late. And if you want both of them, I don't like taking handcuffs, but this is so different. Like, if you really feel that something's wrong with Gurley and you want to take both Henderson and Malcolm Brown, it's not going to cost you anything to just add Malcolm Brown to your team. So why not do it? Just make sure you're covered to where if Gurley's out, at least you know what's going to happen and you just get to pick the best one. So I'm cool with taking both of them. And the last guy is one I'm actually very excited about, is Damien Harris. Now, Damien Harris is an extremely interesting case to watch right now because James White's role is secure. Like, we all know, James White is the third down guy on the Patriots. They're going to bring him in on a lot of red zone. They're going to bring him in for a lot of the 2-minute drill. That's his role. It's been his role the whole time. It's going to be his role going forward as long as they keep him, because he's the best in the league at that role. Burkhead, he's a special teams guy. Bill Belichick loves Burkhead because he just does anything. You want him out there early downs, go for it. You want him out there on third down, go for it. But he's awesome on special teams. So Burkhead's role is kind of going to be that guy where if we're winning by a lot late, he goes in. If we just need to kind of switch it up at running back, he goes in. If someone just needs a break, he goes in, and he's going to be on a special team. So he's going to do everything. That's not going to change. So you say, okay, why did they draft Damien Harris? Honestly, he's competing with Sonny Michel. Now, if I had to say the odds of who leads this backfield in carries, I would give Sonny Michel, a 70 to an 80, probably a 70% chance if you're just comparing him and Damien Harris. And that's not including injuries. Just if they both stay healthy, it's probably 70% Sonny Michel, which is why, he's going so much earlier. But Sonny Michel has had his injury concerns. Sports Injury Predictor does have him with the second highest chance of an injury this season. He tore his ACL, he fractured his shoulder blade, he sprained his ankle, fractured his forearm, multiple knee strains. Any time that he misses is an opportunity for Damien Harris to carve out a role for himself in the offense. And we know how good having the lead back in New England is for fantasy purposes. Every single year, if you look back, who was the lead back for fantasy purposes when they were playing? It's been amazing. Now, Sonny Michel didn't finish. If you look at the final stats at the end of the year, you're just a box score watcher. He didn't finish among the leaders, but if you had him on your team when he was actually playing, he did great. And I believe he was the number one scorer for the playoffs. Obviously, they made it to the end, so I guess that makes sense. But the dude was really good when they were giving him carries. And you look back even when LeGarrette Blount, he was amazing when he was given the carries. Deion Lewis was amazing when he was getting the carries. Anyone who gets the majority of the carries on this offense does good. And you hear Matt Kelly say all the time, if you have no idea what a backfield's going to be, but you know that the lead back is going to be good, just take the one that's going the latest. And that's Damien Harris right now. Because Burkhead's probably going later, but let's be honest, Burkhead's not going to be the lead back in this offense. Damien Harris has that potential. So remember that 14-team league I talked about just a second ago? Well, I took Harris in the 12th round of that. So in your redraft leagues, he's probably going in like a 12-team league in like the 15th round. And that's just perfect value. It encapsulates absolutely everything that we tell you to look for in a late round pick. It's got plenty of upside, and it has a legitimate path to reaching that upside. So a reminder, if you want to find more of these sleepers, more breakouts, more busts, head on over to our website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. Become a premium member. Get access to the premium rankings, my machine learning model predictions, the full projections for all the players, the private chat, everything you need, and more to win your fantasy league. So that is the end of the video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, how about we hit that like button? How about we subscribe if we are new? Thanks for watching.